and welcome. My name is Evangelist Gail Burrell, and I'm here to do a virtual book signing with my book, Rock Solid, A Manual for a Passionate Marriage. In case you haven't seen any of my other videos, I want you to know that I am married to Bishop Carlton Burrell, and we have been married for over 41 years now. We do have children and grandchildren. I have written other books. They are all on my website, www.gailburrell.com. You can also get those at Gail Burrell Facebook. You may order ebooks, or there's a Cash App there for you that makes ordering very simple. It is so good to be here today. I'm glad you could join me. It's just a pleasure to be talking to you about marriage. My subject today, again, before you throw in the towel. And this is about marriage during COVID. Coping with marriage during COVID. I want to say that mental health is a part of whole health. Everything is intensified right now, and the pressure is really squeezing those that deal with anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, depression, bipolar disorders, sleep disorders, schizophrenia, and the multitude of mental disorders that can plague a family. Before we even deal with staying in marriages and relationships, I need to say these things, you need professional intervention for when you see the signs of these illnesses. People need to know that there is assistance and support available. We want you to know that God loves you, and so do we. Don't hide what's going on. Don't ignore signs of distress. It's very important. Forget the stigma. Forget what people will say, because no one knows what you're going through but you. Don't worry about being the only one, because millions of people are having the same issues you are. So we want to focus on those who care, and there are many that care for you and that are praying for you. Someone is always available to listen. We want you to know that you are not alone. And there are many people that are struggling during these times. If you have a problem in the area of mental health, you or your partner, a doctor can direct you. Social services can direct you. Pastors can direct you. We do have intervention materials. For your privacy is important to us, and professionals are going to be discreet. Now, we assume we are talking to those who do not need the clinical interventions, but just consultation, resources, and information on marriage. It is good for everyone to seek fresh information. Marriages need a shot in the arm sometimes, even now and then. And it's good to take the focus off of your own problems and know that all couples struggle in some area. We see the pandemic is causing spikes in breakups and divorces. 76% of the new cases are coming from females compared to the 60% in last year. Domestic violence is up 22% and soaring all over the world. This time, I think the culprit has changed. Things have shifted, and we're not just talking about the problem of infidelity or cheating, but out of all the problems that came in, the biggest, it was the very primitive, too much time in my face situation with people being quarantined. Yes, it magnified all the bad stuff you didn't like about your situation or your partner. But today, I have some answers for you, and I have some things that will help you. We're going to take a look just for a few minutes in the Rock Solid Manual for Passionate Marriage, and I'm on page 36. I'm only going to read a paragraph or two because you're going to need to purchase this book for yourself. It says this chapter on pain management is a core part of a successful marriage. How people handle anger, disappointment, resentment, boredom, faithlessness, hopelessness, and crises will determine whether or not the marriage can survive. And isn't that what everyone is facing right about now? I begin this chapter by presenting a couple that has been married for over 60 years. I did this because I wanted to emphasize the stark contrast between couples of yesteryear versus couples that married in the 80s and beyond. The gap represents changing value systems, cultural differences, and sociological evolution, and so much more. But the bottom line is still relatively simple and easy to apply. Men's and women's needs, children's needs, and society's needs are rudimentary and unchanging. These groups need and seek love, familial care, respect, and stability. One cannot be substituted for the other. And optimal care comes from the married man and woman nurturing their children. We know there are cases where this cannot work due to varying circumstances. However, this is the great model that most people aspire to. And I go on to talk about that couple. And if you want to know more about what we're missing in today's relationships versus what they were doing in yesteryear, you need to purchase that book. I said in the beginning the answers are simple, and they are. Today we find that so many people are digressing from the foundations, the things that held people together a long time ago. But my friend, the core of love and relationship and successful marriage never changes, just like God never changes. Truth will stand, and those time-tested values that help those people stay together are the very same elements that are going to help you today. And we're going to talk about it from a Bible perspective. And I would like to read some scriptures from the Book of Ephesians. And I'm going to read the 21st verse. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to read a number of verses, and I'm going to talk about it as I read. Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. And this is a very great concept, submission. The Bible teaches us to submit to one another, not just one party, but both the man and the woman need to submit to one another. Submission is a type of humility, and it's a type of condescension where you come down and you meet the person eye to eye, and you have honest discussions, and you reach honest solutions, that is, solutions that are favorable to both parties. And one person is not lording over the other person. And you can try all, people bring in so many newfangled things. And it looks good in the beginning. It's glittering. But as time goes on, if you're not doing things on these, from these types of values where you're being honest and you're being kind, it's going to go down. The relationship is going to have a problem. And relationships can die. And you don't want to get to that point where God has to raise the dead bones, although he's able to do that. But you want to maintain your relationship and keep it fresh. So we begin with that verse in Ephesians 5:21, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. And if you fear God, you know that God loves everyone, not just you. You realize that everyone is the child of the Lord. And that means that if you fear God, you're going to keep these things in mind, and it's going to be a strength to you. God is going to be that threefold cord in your relationship. It won't be just you and your spouse, but it will also be God if you move in fear. The 22nd verse says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. 23, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ